Hello everyone, Blue Star Saber here once again for another One Piece chapter review. Chapter 1175, Hog. The 1175th chapter is finally here. Now, depending on what you believe, we have like at least 25 chapters of Elbaf left to go. No, who knows? It really depends on the pacing that Oda wants to do. But yeah, it might be the case, but who knows? But yeah. I've been a bit late, let's see, with reviewing these chapters. I'm actually 2 chapters behind. Arguably because I went on a trip, let's see, to Wales recently. And also I ended up got quite occupied watching the live action One Piece anime. And then, of course, celebrating UK's Mother's Day. So, yeah. Been a bit busy, and now I've got a chance to review the chapter. I'm going to do it now. So, yeah. Here's my review for the 1175th chapter, which follows off the events of the last chapter, where the kids are nearly plummeting to their deaths, their loved ones willing to die with them, Summers acting basically creepy at the thought of like the children and the families plunging to their deaths before they all end up being saved by Luffy's Nika and Loki's Devil Fruit, which turns out to be a giant dragon, Nittenhog, if you will. So, yeah. How the events of that chapter fall out for this one? Well, we are about to find out. Before we begin, we have the cover story of reader request Sabo with koala babies hanging all over him, in which you see Sabo, let's see, on a tree with a bunch of koala babies hanging over him. With let's see, Kola and a actual koala bear adult, Ritzy, sitting by and watching, with Kola just having her arm just looking at Sabo smiling, and a koala bear just eating a bunch of leaves. So, yeah. Arguably, this is a nice little cover, and arguably, if you're a Sabo and Kola shipper, you probably might enjoy this, of Sabo looking after a bunch of baby koala bears, while Kola is looking on smiling, and thinking, maybe some might be thinking, one of Cole is thinking that Sabo might be a good father one day, but who knows. But yeah, I definitely say if you were a shipper, you probably would like those two let's see together. And we've got someone called Rock Diggly saying, ooh, cool. So, yeah, we have our first comment. Hope you like the stream, and if you have any comments, feel free to leave them, as I am currently summarizing the first chapter. The chapter begins with Sanji freeing Nico Robin from her thorns, which he's using one of his flame kicks and all that stuff. Let's see, Nami's happy that Robin's free. Usopp complimenting Sanji, and Jinbei saying, I guess it was vulnerable to heat, thinking that was a relief. With Robin saying there's no time to celebrate. With Sanji commenting, like, between the hockey and the roaring. Let's see, hold on. Oops, might have gone too fast. No, wait. Let's see, with there being like the Straw Hats looking on, seeing the shadowy figure of Loki's dragon, as well as like all the dream monsters. We cut to the Western Village, where let's see, all of the kids and their parents and other beloved ones are like down on the floor. Zhao being surprised that Ripley, Omi, and Rhoda are here, with the kids asking for help for their parents. Ritzy talking about how they got stabbed by the forms, some crying that their mom's going to die. With like some of the giants trying to Ritzy plead with Loki that the village is endangered, ask him to take the children somewhere safer. But Loki is basically being a bit of a tsundere, or maybe anti-hero, if you will, saying, not my problem. The only thing that I'll do to people who climb on his back is dump him off. And as we see Loki's giant dragon form, which, let's see if I can find an image. No, I cannot find an image of that particular form, but basically a double-page spread of Loki's dragon, where you see he's got more of one of those white underbellies like most Western dragons, and a bit more. Let's see, but basically he's a huge dragon that's eating a giant bird, with Luffy in his giant Nika form. on top, with the other dream monsters all shocked by him as he tells them all to get off of him. And Luffy notices Zoro, with Jaro then announcing to all of Elbaf that all the children are safe. Nami and the other Straw Hats are happy, and the other giants are celebrating as they're no longer hostages. With I think Zoro saying what took Luffy so long, and is he on a dragon? And Luffy saying that yeah, it's Loki here, and then it's saying that this place is at least safe. And Zoro saying okay, if you say so. But Zoro is saying that you're all giant now. You guys should crush those dream monsters before they destroy all of Elbaf. With Luffy just saying, okay, we'll do. And let's see, but they hear a bunch of noise, and Omi appears to be attacked by a bunch of fawns, if you will. And let's see, with one of the giants saying the fawn to get the children inside. As we see Summers flying, let's see, as we see a bunch of fine whips of Summers in the distance attacking about the giants, with him saying, you fools are wasting your time. With Road realizing that he followed us here. With Summers going are you reading from the manga? Yes, I'm reading from the Viz manga translation. I'm trying to summarize the Viz translation, but I'm trying to do it a bit quickly, but I'm also occasionally quoting from the manga chapter. But yeah, but for example, I'm saying Summers is basically angry that the children are alive and saying, giving back the emotions that he was feeling of their suffering and tragedy, if you will. And Summers is thinking that on one hand this will work in his favor since he needs to take the brats alive, thinking that he can still take them to the Holy Land as planned. But he decides to now only kill the parents with using his fawns, as we see he's managed to create what appears to be serpent head fawns in his devil fruit with cannons in their mouths. So, and he's ready to fire. The kids stand in front of their parents, saying that they won't let him do that, saying it's their time to protect their mother. With Summer crying about oh, this is sweet. These kids are the best. Saying he doesn't really care about his mission, wondering who he should kill first. Saying they'll never forget the kids and their act of bravery on his face, if you will. As he's about to wipe them all out, Ripley says to her son to run, but Colin refuses to keep, saying he'll keep his mummy safe. And Zoro, using his sword style, cuts away the fawns, with Luffy saying, you go, Zoro, saying he's always believed in him, which I found a bit weird that he would say that. With Summers now furious that let's see, Summers furious with what's going on, and I think Zoro says, of course I know that, now just go. And Luffy turns into his giant Nika form, grabbing lightning, and says to Summers, that's Zoro, remember that name, as he's with me. Let's see, as he uses a move called Gum Gum, and he looks like he's doing Tony Chopper's lock-on thing, like he's a sniper thing, if you will, and launches his Gear 5 punch, if you will. And Summers is quite shocked. Ripley is seemingly crying. Let's see, in tears of joy, if you will, maybe, if I had to best describe it. And Luffy basically sends a, let's see, giant punch like that, knocking Summers, that you end up seeing his teeth basically smashed like this. So, yeah, his teeth being smashed like this, if you will. And, ends up being sent flying, basically. The giants cheer as the fawns come off them, and the kid saying, as Colin says, look, telling his mother to look, as Ripley is crying tears of joy, saying that she finally got to see Luffy in all in white, realizing that he does indeed, in fact, look like the sun god Nika. And he goes I really think he is the warrior of liberation, as Ripley seems to pass out from the wounds, if you will. With Summers going Nika, a bedtime tale for children, but just as he's trying to regenerate, Loki claws down and whacks him down, with them all being shocked that it's Nihogs there, thinking that also saved them. With Loki says, let's go then. with I think Chopper asking Scopogaban and let's see who else is there. So with him asking what's that, and I think a giant is saying it must be Loki. I've never seen that before. With Scopogaban having a memory saying, "What's the treasure of Elbaf? A devil fruit, a forbidden one." As you see, let's see, you see Jarl saying that the dragon fruit mythical type model Nidhogg saying that no matter who eats it, they will transform into the largest dragon in the world, and the maximum size relies on the one who eats it. As he explains that if a human eats it, it'd still be a large dragon, but it'd be smaller. But if a regular giant eats it, it'd be much bigger. And an ancient giant, will be a lot more massive. In fact, it'd be the size of what Loki is right now, if you will. Let's see. So the power is basically the power of this devil fruit and its size relies on who eats it. So, yeah. It'll always be the largest dragon, but it'll be smaller on smaller or bigger on depending on the species that eats it. So yeah. And apparently it's an Odyssean dragon that breathes lightnings and so fast that day falls into night when it flies. With Shanks being a bit surprised, we see the Shanks in this flashback asking, and due to the danger of this power, you've been making sure no one eats it. But Zhao reveals that that's not quite true, as anyone who tries to eat it, the Guardian Hammer Ragnar blocks their attempts. Explaining that in Elbaf we have a legend of a warrior god. He wielded a weapon known as Ragnar, Iron Lightning, so the hammer is revealed to be the one that possesses the lightning abilities. And it turned into an enormous dragon to face off against the sun god, saying he fought alongside a trusted loyal squirrel known as a loyal ice squirrel known as Ratokosasa. So in other words, without its master, Ratokosasa chose to inhabit the weapon instead. So basically, it chose the weapon and saying that it waits for its only return, so the legend says. With the flashback ending saying, and now Ragnar has Tsutsi, after eternity of standing guard of the fruit has finally chosen, as we see Chopper with the shock face, and as him, Goban, and I believe Kashi, who I probably should have realized be the case, is watching on as giant monsters are moving about, running on terror with Loki's wrath in his dragon form. And Loki, let's see, causes a massive lightning blast, destroying the majority of those monsters with a move called Foreham, with the emu, possessed Gunko watching on as the Killingham's monsters are being destroyed, if you will. With seeing Loki, the dragon, and the squirrel, with him saying, "I see." So Nidhogg, that's where thou were. As Emu reveals that he knows what the dragon's devil fruit is, seemingly furious as we cut to the Holy Land, showing that Emu is still there, and not really sort of possessing Saint Saturn, if you will, like he did in the God Valley flashback. But yeah, basically ends the chapter with this dragon breath attack. So now I've got the summary where I can give my thoughts. Okay, now this chapter, I will admit, I'm a bit mixed on. I'll probably get to the first bit here. I will admit, let's see, Sanji freeing Robin. Now, I'm not against that, but I feel like it was a bit too easy. Oh, it's just flames, and it feels like this could people could have done this much sooner with those fawns, if you will, because the fawns have been much of a struggle. But it's no one thought to do fire, or use fire. I thought, let's see, I can maybe understand if perhaps Sanji's flames are a bit more special. Granted, I think someone points that Sanji's doing a ... like he's testing out. And we've got a new person called Karatosi saying, "Oh," and "okay." Thank you for joining the chat. I hope you have some if you have some comments, feel free to post them. as I'm giving my thoughts on this chapter. So I am wondering if like Sanji is maybe testing out his like think maybe is doing something with these flames or kicks that he's testing out. But at the moment, I'm just a bit disappointed. I'm not against Sanji freeing Robin. Let's see. Ooh, you wish to subscribe? Okay, thank you. I hope you enjoy the content I've put on this channel. But yeah, anyway, I do like how on one hand it's like yeah, Sanji is basically freeing Robin. I figured that was going to happen, but I'd figured this would happen when Sanji was like fighting Summers and all that stuff. But no, and at least maybe doing a bit more effort with this thing. But it seems like it's actually pretty easy, so it makes it feels like the problems that the Giants were having with the kids could have been done easier still. But yeah. But I do like how everyone's giving Sanji compliments for like figuring it out, I guess. So yeah. But that's basically all we see is they're just basically witnessing what's going on with Loki. But yeah. Anyway, I do like and we've got someone called Rocky Diddley is saying hi carrots and that stuff. Anyway, but yeah, I do like how Loki at the very least is being a bit of an anti-hero type, continue to be a bit of an anti-hero or maybe even Tsundere type character, if you will, where the Giants are pleading for him to take the kids away. But he's saying, I don't care where the kids are. Just get them off my back. I'm here to destroy and fight. And I will admit, I really do like Loki's giant dragon design. It's a bit goofier than some people were perhaps hoping for, but you know what? I think it works for Oda's style. And arguably, it's still pretty menacing of a dragon given its size. I do like how it's basically a bit of a Western dragon with let's see, chain shackles around like Loki's horns, black, and it has one of those dragon underbellies you see. I do like seeing that in the the design, and I do like how basically all of the nightmare monsters are basically terrified of it. So yeah. So but yeah. Let's see. And I also like the little like conversation Luffy's having with Zoro, saying like, let's see, hey Zoro, what you're up to and all that stuff. But it was like him going like Zoro going like, what took you so long? And telling him to go crush the monsters already. But yeah. Now I will admit, I think Summers is being a bit of a reckless idiot. Let's see, charging in when all those when you've got like Luffy, Loki there at the same time, but it seems like he's really mad that the kids didn't die and all that stuff, which arguably he's sort of reacting in the sort of way, don't give me back my emotions. In many ways, I'd say Somos is kind of reacting to how some One Piece fans do whenever Oda seemingly kills off a character or gives them like a sort of character death, but only brings them back later. Honestly, it looks like that, and I will admit I do find it a bit funny and all that stuff. Like, give me back my emotions. You're supposed to be dead. It does feel a lot like how the One Piece fandom reacts every time. But yeah. But on one hand, I will admit I do like how he realizes, okay, he has a chance to like capture the kids again. And I do actually like the creativity of his devil fruit, the fact that he could create apparently living mouths with cannons from them. I guess snake thorns, if you will. I will admit, I don't know how like a thorn fruit can do something like that, but I guess that might show some skill with the devil fruit at the very least. But yeah, creating living thorn cannons from them, that seems to do some serious damage to the giants at the very least. Which, on one hand, let's see, and is ready to shoot them, which of course the kids try to protect their parents, which I suppose it's a sort of sweet moment, I guess, with the kids now. They're saying it's their turn to protect the kids and not budging this time. Now, I will admit, I do feel like this was a bit rushed compared to like the last chapter where you spent a bit of time with the kids thinking of all their sort of like bad things they've done and then their parents coming in and them thinking like all the times they disrespected their parents, but then they're just showing their parents are just there for them. I just feel like that was a much more better pace than this one, though. Granted, it seems like Oda was focusing more on the more action, if you will. But I do like how Summers is, in a sense, in his own twits, he's sort of touched by this display of affection, but of course, in his own twisted way, is determined to kill the kids afterwards. But it's like saying he doesn't care for his mission anymore. That's gonna definitely anger Emu. So I definitely think he is in trouble for that. But and of course, I do like how Zoro comes in and blocks, which I wonder, it makes you think, is that me? Let's see if Zoro's going to have a fight with Summers, but Summers gets mad asking who he is and all that stuff, with Luffy saying, "It's Zoro, so you better remember that name." Now, I find it weird that Luffy says, "I always believed in you," with Zoro going, "I knew that." It's like, I'm pretty certain Luffy's always had confidence in Zoro, so I don't know why he had to say that. But I do wonder if Luffy is just saying that, trying to say the name to Summers just so that he can remember, because maybe Zoro and Summers are going to have a fight in the future. But I'm going to get to that bit here, because this is the part I'm mostly mixed on. On one hand, I do like how Luffy is using a sort of like Chopper's lock-on point, if you will, to do a sort of, fawn rifle punch, which arguably is a very impressive display of power here, destroying the Fawns and punching Summer. That the fact that his face is basically destroyed, if you will. So that is like a cool shot, but at the same time a bit mixed, because it's like, Cat says hi. So I forgot to respond to that, but yeah. I'm a bit mixed on this, because on one hand, it's a cool drawn power and Luffy's being impressive display of feats. In fact, I think this is the most brutal punch he's ever done, it seems. The fact that it's smashed someone's face like this. But on the one hand, you've got this and then Loki stomping down. So basically, Summer's got his butt kicked by Luffy and Loki pretty easily. So it's like, the threat of this character is completely gone. I mean, granted, some people thought this guy was already a joke, because we saw how he got his butt whooped by Scopper and in the flashback, he got his butt whooped by Rayleigh, and now he got his butt whooped by Luffy and Loki. It's like, this guy is really no longer a threat anymore. Even if, like, I guess Oda was like trying to, with the chat a bit earlier in the chapter, saying his name is like saying to Summers that, so that his name is Zoro, to his like the one who stopped his Fawns earlier, and say, "Don't you forget it." Sort of building up to maybe like a sort of Summers versus Zoro fight. It's like, if that's what you're trying to do with that bit there, with Luffy, if like what Luffy was doing before punching him, you've got to sort of killed any tension that fight could have had, because, well, basically, Somers no longer looks like a threat. And if Zoro's going to fight him, he doesn't really look like a threat at all now, because it's like, Zoro should probably easily beat him. Now, granted, Somers at the very least is still, of course, immortal, so he's probably not down for the count right now, even though he's been severely damaged by both Luffy and Loki, unless Loki killed him in that claw attack. I'm not sure. At the very least, we know that his devil fruit powers are down for the count for the moment, since the kids no longer have their Fawns on them. But if it is Zoro versus Summers down the line, it's not going to feel much of a threat, unless like Summers is just going to be used as a way to make Zoro practice using his Conqueror's Haki. But it's also a little disappointing, because I mentioned like the bit with the Sanji earlier. I was hoping for like a Sanji versus Somers fight, because Somers seemed like the perfect opponent for Sanji to fight personality-wise, because Sanji is like the warrior of love, and Somers acting like a warrior of love, but a more twisted way of seeing the pain and misery of others there. So it's like, you have these two warriors who have their views on love, one the more positive and one the more negative. And it's like, okay, they're going to clash, and then you also had Rob in the crossfire. So, it looked like this is going to be the next Sanji versus Absalom fight, if you will. But where Sanji ends up fighting someone that's just as perverted as him, lustful as him, but Sanji, at the very least, in some regards, may restrain himself compared to like Absalom. But no, we're not going to get that Sanji versus. But it doesn't look like we get that Sanji versus Somas fight. Now I know what happens in the next chapters. I'm not going to spoil that, but yeah, it felt like like you've just killed a perfect opportunity to give a very strong thematic fight for Sanji. Now, who knows? Perhaps Somas will end up fighting Zoro or Sanji. I'm not sure. It really depends. But you already had Luffy knock this guy out, so it's like he's not going to really feel much of a threat now, regardless. So, yeah, this is my biggest disappointment with this chapter. Let's see. I like Somas's devil fruit. I like his personality of just much being like a just scumbag villain, if you will. But Luffy beating him has sort of killed the tension now. So yeah, and then it's one less. See, and if he's down for the count, that's one less villain for like some of our Straw Hats to face with, because some of them really do need to fight someone. At the very least, I feel like you need Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp to be the ones to at least take on at least a villain at some point in this fight. The others can probably just deal with the dream monsters. I'm fine with that. So yeah. But anyway, will say this. I do like the lore behind find out about Loki's dragon fruit, the Niflheim one. Let's see. But oh yeah, before that, I suppose I do like how Ripley, at the very least, the whole Luffy saving the kids. I do like that's a bit of a callback at the very least to like Ripley wanting to see Luffy's white form and then believing that, oh, he is Nika. I thought that was a touching thing. Though I am a little disappointed that the villain had to be one of the few villains we had who had to be taken out for it. But I do like at least that's come full circle, and Ripley is now can be like relax and be pass out, I guess, if you will. The fact that she got to see Nika, if you will. But yeah, anyway, what was I do like the sort of like this chapter revealing the lore of Loki, if you will, and about his devil fruit, and where we go to a flashback, if you will. Though it's a bit weird because I thought Zhao didn't know anything about this sacred treasure, but turns out he does know about the devil fruit. But I don't know, I might be misremembering that. But yeah, but we learned that Loki's devil fruit Niflheim is basically a devil fruit that, let's see, grows in size to be the largest dragon, but the size, of course, were less than the human. So only someone like Loki can unlock its full power, because it's like, if a human ate it, it would not be the size it is. So it'd be a much smaller dragon. Arguably, it'd still be bigger than Kaido's dragon form, or fish model form, if you will, but it would not be the same size that Loki is now. A giant would be bigger, but not as big as Loki. So I do like that lore. So it just goes to show you just how insanely powerful Loki with this devil fruit actually is. So yeah, and the fact that and we get a clear idea about its power. So basically, Loki's dragon Niflheim fruit is basically the one of the lightning powers, and the ice powers come from the squirrel. Let's see what's its name. Raktosi. So it has the ice powers, and it merged. Let's see, and it merged with like and it seems to have merged with like and it decided to chose to inhabit the hammer. So so basically the reason why the hammer has ice powers is because of the squirrel. So yeah, it's not like Loki had. So in a sense, Loki does seem to have like a squirrel with ice powers. So it's a bit curiosity. So it's not a devil fruit that's gone inside the hammer. It's basically a squirrel with ice powers. Now I'm not sure. Now granted, it's not the chili fruit, but because we know that Aokiji has it. So either it's a squirrel that's eaten some other devil fruit ability with ice abilities, or it's something else that that's been given like it's like some sort or something else that's gotten either some sort of mythical or maybe it's like a mythical squirrel sown in fruit that's been eaten by something that's able to live on for so many years. But I don't know. I think we'll probably need to get more explanation on the hammer. At the very least, the hammer was a separate weapon before the squirrel merged with it. Unless, of course, the tales have been a bit mixed up and it is a hammer that's got the devil fruit of a mystical model ice squirrel of some sort. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on more on that bit. But of course, let's see. We get the lore that a warrior in Elbaf, we have a legend about a warrior god who had a weapon known as Ragnir, Iron Lightning, and turned into an enormous dragon to face off against the sun god. So, yeah, we've got basically lore of like a giant warrior god fighting Nika. And he had a loyal squirrel on his side, which is Ragnarskir. So, yeah, so basically we've got a lore of like the warrior god, and I think this sort of clears up like the Witsy myth that the sort of lore that we've been having, if you put the pieces together, as I think Mr. Morge did, where the previous owner of the devil fruit is likely the warrior god Elbaf. And it turns out Elbaf is not an actual god, if you will, but a giant, probably likely an ancient giant warrior from like either the Void Century or probably the First Age, who ate the dragon fruit, became so powerful that he was referred to as a warrior god, and the country of Elbaf was then named after him. And he seemed to have a rivalry with the sun god, so he either fought Joe Boy and was his rival during the Void Century, or he was the rival to like the first Nika in the first world, who seemed to be the one who ate the devil fruit then. So who knows? It's not sure which one it is yet. But if it's to guess, it's likely perhaps maybe the Second Age, which is the one with Joy Boy. That this giant was Witsy Joe Boy's rival, if you will, and they clash, and now it's like Luffy and Loki have now taken up the mantles, if you will. Luffy the next Joy Boy, and Loki the next Elbaf, if you will. So you have that sort of like rivalry thing. So this might arguably be Luffy's true rival. Sorry for kid fans, I guess, but hopefully Oda's going to do something with kids. I'm at least hoping something with that at the very least. So yeah. But yeah. And basically we learned that during this whole thing that because Shanks was wondering like, okay, so you've kept this devil fruit a secret, but no, the hammer Ragnir has basically been guarding it and preventing anyone from eating the fruit, until it's finally chosen Loki as its worthy successor, showing that Loki is like the only one to be worthy of the dragon, if you will. Now, one other minor thing I'll probably complain about, I'm a little disappointed that Chopper's not doing anything and just staying by Gaban's side at the moment, which arguably he's supposed to be taking care of him. But I am hoping for something with Chopper along the lines of this arc, but yeah. But at the moment, he's just watching with Gaban and Kashi as Loki dominates, which I will admit, I do love seeing all the dream nightmare monsters, including like the smaller Nidhogg, running away from like Loki's monstrous lightning powers, if you will, and Loki just doing like a very powerful form behind lightning blast, destroying all those giants. And I do like how Emu's just looking on at first, staring at both Luffy, the Sun God, and Nidhogg. But interesting, he's paying more attention to Nidhogg and realize like, oh, so you've been on Elbaf this entire time, showing that he does know a history, and likely fought it for, because some people believe if Elbaf is like from the Void Century, his skull is likely Onigashima, which of course we had the big battle, Raid and Wano and all that stuff. So who knows, that could be to the lore, but at the very least it seems Emu is very aware of this power and may have even fought it once. So so that was like a little bit of an interesting part to end the chapter on. I will admit, I was a bit surprised that Emu is not reacting to like Luffy Nika there, thinking about Joy Boy, but I guess his attention is more on the giant dragon. But I think we'll probably see some reaction to Nika soon. But yeah, that's basically the chapter. My overall thoughts. On one hand, I like the Loki lore that we got to see with the giant dragon, learning that whoever eats the fruit, its size will greatly get bigger and bigger if it's a human giant or ancient giant. I do like that. I do like seeing the power that Loki displays. I like the lore of Elbaf that we got, where like this warrior god was once a Riven fought alongside, which the Scroll fought alongside it against Joy Boy, which implies probably is the warrior god Elbaf, which the country is named after, and people worshipped as a god, that they probably based their entire, warrior heritage on this warrior. But and I even like Samus's creative use of his devil fruit abilities, and how he's just reacting to like everyone being spared from like, give me back my emotions, I'm gonna kill you all, and all that stuff. But I'm a little disappointed how quickly Sanji freed Robin's thorns, how easily beaten Summers was against Luffy, sort of nullifying him as a threat, if you will. Because I don't think I've seen a bad guy being this beat up more than I've ever seen Summers. I guess Oda must really dislike him. I wonder if he's letting his dislike of the Celestial Dragons do it so often. But he's got his butt beaten, and doesn't feel like a threat if he is going to end up fighting Zoro or Sanji, which, if I had to guess, more likely to be Zoro since he's more nearby, and given what happens in the next chapter, but I'm not going to spoil it. But yeah. And I guess some of the other Straw Hats like Chopper and Usopp still yet to have their moment, but I'm hoping that they'll get something in this arc. But basically the whole Summers thing kind of puts this chapter a bit down for me, even being beaten at the very least. But the other stuff is cool. So arguably, if I had to give the score, well, I'd probably give it maybe a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. 7 is the highest because of all the lore and the Loki stuff surrounding it with his devil fruit and its massive size and all that stuff. But the Summers being beaten, I think, is a bit of a disappointment for me. Even if there is a touching moment of like Ripley seeing Nika and seeing like saving her and her son. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts on the score. So arguably the first sort of mixed chapter I have. I mean, it's not a bad chapter, but it's not as great as the chapters that have been coming before it, if you will. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing in some regards, but also pretty good lore dump and all that stuff. So yeah. Anyway, I think that's my overall thoughts. Let's see. Rocky Diggly and Keratosis. Thank you for watching the channel and giving comments, and anyone else that watched it. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say with this chapter. And thank you for the subscribe. I hope you'll come back to watch more chapter reviews I do with One Piece and other manga when I get the chance to do them. But for now, I am Blue Star Saber, and I am signing off. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye for now.